see you all today. Welcome. We're going to stand and worship the Lord.
Got work to do now.
Yeah.
Thank
the idea of our focus being on Jesus. The New Testament Bible has a verse of Scripture that says, "Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith." It speaks to us about a truth, that the one in whom we first place our faith is the same one that we trust to lead us all the way through to the point of finish, to the finish line. In my experience, I think yours is the same. There are a lot of things about our lives that want to get us to take our eyes off of Jesus and put them on people and on things and on problems and on pressures and on just the harsh realities of what life is for us sometimes. Maybe there's no better reminder for us today. Maybe there's nothing better I could say to you or you could say to me. Then once again, fix your eyes on Jesus. He is the author of your faith, and He is the one who will be able to bring you to the finish line someday. Full, complete, finished. It's the one. So as we sing just a little more of this, because even this song is about that same thing, a focus upon the Lord. Let's just do a little more of that, and I will just urge you today, in these moments, fix your eyes on Jesus. Set the other stuff aside. Fix your eyes on Jesus today. You can't miss. You can't go wrong. God, we thank you for these moments to just set our hearts and our minds upon you, to refocus our thoughts, our lives, to recenter, to reset our life compass. And to put primary in our lives are looking, focusing, fixing our eyes and the eyes of our hearts and our minds on you. We ask God today that as we do so, that you will be present among us in a big way. That you will bring encouragement where it is needed today. That you will bring comfort where it is most needed today. That you will bring a fresh leap of faith today for someone who needs that very leap. To fully trust you with whatever the circumstances of their lives may be. And God, we just bless you and invite you to walk among us today. We surrender ourselves to you, knowing that you have what's best in mind for us. Have your way today. in our midst and in our lives. We pray in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. Take a minute, just say hello to someone. Will you do that? Let somebody close around you know that you are aware that they're here and blessed by their presence. Well, I'm glad you're here today. Glad you're here today. I want to have fun for a minute. We've been in a class for several weeks now. This morning's was pretty intense. You all did a great job teaching people this morning how to move beyond, as you read and study the Bible, how to move beyond interpreting what you read based upon your understanding of the English language and interpreting what you read based upon research that takes you to the deeper, more real meaning of what it meant in the day and time and culture that it was written and presented. And as I told them, and please understand how I mean this, I mean it in the kindest of ways, because a lot of the people in that class today were senior adults. And my experience is the older we get, the more difficult it is to really take this intense kind of study on if you're doing it for the first time. And I want to say, I just applaud you all. What a great job this morning. It was quite intense. I'm asking them to memorize the books of the Bible as well. And I thought today, this is going to feel a little bit like showboating, but I'm not going to ask them to do what I have not already done or will do. And I told them that I learned the books of the Bible when I was in 3rd grade. And somebody asked me last week, can you say them all? And the answer is yes, I can. Somebody asked me, how quickly can you say them? Well, I have not timed it in recent years, but I do want to share the books of the Bible for the sake of those who are in the class today and let you know, yes, in fact, I did learn them, and it changed my perspective of the Bible. It changed my ability to study and to research and to quick reference as something when, for instance, the pastor asked us to go to a place in the Bible, to get to it quickly because I'm familiar with how it's all laid out. So I want to recite for you today. I said it's going to feel about like showboating to me. Please understand, it's my effort today to say to the members of our class, yes, in fact, I do know them and I do take it very seriously. These are the books of the Old and New Testament Bible. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st Samuel, 1st Kings, 1st Chronicles, Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Lamentation, Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jeremiah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st Thessalonians, 1st Timothy, Titus, Philemon, Hebrews, James, 1st Peter, 1st 3rd John, Jude, Revelation. Those are the books of the Bible. And I just say, yes, I can't stand backwards now. What was that?
I missed a couple in the middle. Could you repeat it?
Yeah, I may not have had the pronunciations exact.
I was trying to write it down.
And no, I cannot say that backwards. I just say, don't take lightly the power and benefit of being very familiar with your life. It has benefited me so tremendously through the decades, as well as the kind of intense study we did today. I was so pleased with you. I had to feel like I had to keep saying, hang in there with me. It's intense. You're doing great. But I was just pleased, impressed with what's going. Next week, by the way, for you that have not been a part of it and plan to, if you ever wonder, the next couple of weeks, if it needs to go that long, we'll be focused on how to open the Bible, take a passage of Scripture, and have a meaningful time alone with God through that. A lot of people don't know how to do that. They get confused. And they read, they say, they scratch their heads and I don't get it, I don't understand. And we're going to just walk through a process of why a quiet time and how to go about it. So if you need that, come on next week at 9 o'clock and join us for an hour, and we'll be glad to have you part with us. We're in a series on, and that I'm calling Leap of Faith. And my encouragement to all of you is to every week look over your life and see if there is a place where God is calling you to take a fresh leap of faith in Him. It's easy for us to say, yes, I believe God. Yes, I am living by faith. In the generic sense of what that means. I'm a believer, therefore I'm a follower, therefore I trust, therefore I have faith in the Lord. Where we're challenged by it is when the specific incidents and matters of life surface. The issues in relationship, economics, spiritual matters, where sometimes what we need more than anything is just to take a fresh leap of faith, and in that matter, walk in faith, live by faith. And that's what this series is about, taking a fresh leap of faith. Today I'm calling this Recovering Stolen Property. Before I share with you a passage of Scripture, let me just get our thinking moving in a common direction together. At some point in your life, you may have been a helpless victim of the crime of theft. We have been robbed. Our homes have been robbed 3 times. You have been the object of someone who would make their living stealing from other people. The undeserving individuals who suffer the abuse of someone who would violate your exclusive right to your personal property. I don't know about you, but I am deeply offended and sometimes even angered by people who make their way through life by ripping others off. I'm just being honest with you. That irritates me tremendously. The big rip-off these days seems to be cyber theft. The tremendous effort that's being made today, and with the internet, not just from people in your community, but people from other countries around the world are working all day, every day to steal from people like you and me. The stealing of people's identity in order to steal away their ability to care for themselves, their present living situation, and their futures. And as bad as that seems to you, to me, as harsh as that reality is, there is a kind of theft going on in people's lives today that is even more serious. It is invasive and it is destructive. It is demoralizing and it is defeating. Make no mistake about it. The devil is in the business of stealing, killing, and destroying. He is not interested in taking the contents of your home or the car in your garage. He doesn't live in a house and he doesn't drive a car. He doesn't care about your investments. He has no use for your money. If you're taking notes today, take this down. At the very core of his thieving ways, the devil is involved in the silent theft of the most crucial element of our spiritual walk, our faith. Because if he can get you to take the focus of your faith off of the Lord and put it on people and things, on issues, matters of life, he has taken something from you that is tremendously vital and really, really serious. The very core of his thieving ways, the devil is involved in the silent theft of the most crucial elements of our spiritual walk, our faith. The book of John, chapter 10, talks about the Lord as the shepherd, you and I as the sheep. And it speaks of a relationship there. It speaks of some important truths about the voices that we know and hear and listen to and follow. And then it brings into the text, the story, the idea about a thief. The passage begins with it, and the passage I'm reading today ends with the thought of the thief. Here's what it says. I tell you the truth. The man who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The man who enters the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name, and he leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they did not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he was telling them. Therefore, Jesus said again, I tell you the truth. I am the gate for the sheep. All who ever come before me were thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not listen to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. He will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they might have life and have it to the full. One of the translations says, and have it more abundantly. Now, much of the focus of this passage speaks about our initial connection point with the Lord, coming through the gate, listening to the voice, the call of God, versus the voice that is contrary. But the truth of the matter is, it is the same enemy, the same devil, that is working every day and working, I think, sometimes harder on people who profess Jesus Christ than on people who don't. For people who don't profess Christ, I think sometimes the devil looks at that and says, well, I've already got them. Why invest a tremendous amount of energy there? But people who choose to follow in the way of the Lord, he doesn't like that. He's offended by that. He becomes our opponent in that, and he would do everything, as 1 Peter chapter 5 says. He goeth about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. But stand firm in the faith, knowing that the same experiences of suffering are being accomplished by your brethren who are in the world. Make no mistake about it. This is no game. The devil will try to use every situation, every circumstance, every issue, every relationship connection. He will use anything he possibly can to get you to operate outside of the faith in the Lord. As I said, calling is today recovering stolen property. If you're taking notes today, finish this note. Faith is the only sure foundation for Christian living. Nothing touches God more than when His children trust Him completely. That's what the Christian life, the Christian faith experience is all about. It is about placing our trust, our faith in the Lord, and off of ourselves, and off of people, and off of matters of life. In our life, from that point on, as Hebrews says, let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. From the beginning point of faith to the end of our journey, our challenge is to walk in faith, to learn to trust the Lord completely. I don't know about your life experiences, I do know about mine. And it is tremendously challenging sometimes as the matters of life just begin to bombard us. And shake us, rattle us, and try to break us down and weaken us, and try to disrupt the safety and security of that one sure foundation, faith in the Lord. Sometimes we just need a fresh leap of faith. Hebrews 11, again a passage we launched this series with a few weeks ago, says this: without faith it is impossible to please God. It is through faith. Faith is the foundation. It is the core. It is the platform of our relationship connection with Christ. Faith is so important. There is a sense that nothing else really counts if faith is missing. So what is faith? I believe there's going to be a statement on your screen. Levi asked her to put that up there. What is faith? Let me put it this way. Faith is the total dependence upon God that has supernatural components attached to it. People of faith develop a second kind of sight. They don't just see the situation in front of them. They see God right beside them. They can't prove it, but they know He's there nonetheless. At your best faith point, I believe you would say, like me, nobody, but nobody, could tell me it's not true. Jesus is the Lord.
Amen.
And yet sometimes when life just bombards us, I'm guessing you, like me, labors sometimes. I would be shocked if there's not somebody in this room today, right now, it's not at that place of just laboring, trying to cling to that thread of faith. Saying, I want to hold, I want to trust, but I'm hurting, I'm doubting, I'm struggling. Faith is the total dependence upon God. It has supernatural components attached to it. People of faith develop a second kind of sight. They don't just see the situation in front of them, they see God right beside them. They can't prove it, but they know He's there nonetheless. There are people all around me as around you who just scoff at it, mock it. Yet you and I would stand and say, I know that I know that I know. They would say, prove it, and you'd say it doesn't matter. I know that I know that I know because He has revealed Himself to me in the deepest and most profound of ways. Because I know His presence and His power in my life, and you cannot convince me different. I know that I know that I know. Let me challenge you to consider that followers of Christ do have wilderness places in our lives. Maybe there's somebody right in the room today that would say, yes, I'm in a wilderness place. I would never make fun of you. I would never scoff at you. Because I've been there time and time again. What felt like the desert, the wilderness of life because of life's problems and pressures and issues and matters and relationships and experiences. Wear upon us. Weigh us down and put us in that sort of wilderness place. They are the places where faith is challenged. Places that are extremely difficult and trying on us. And it is in these wilderness places that we can easily get distracted and discouraged and disappointed and angry and resentful and disillusioned. And if you will, allow me to say, it's in these places we begin to hear the voice Now please understand, I'm not talking about a sci-fi movie here. I'm not talking about some modern perception of some faith that is not placed upon the Creator God. I'm not talking about someone who is out of their mind and hearing voices. I'm talking about a very difficult reality. Because the enemy of the Christian faith tries to be a voice in the ears, in the minds of believers. He wants to take you down. He wants to take you out. And our objective as sheep is to listen to the voice of the shepherd. The Bible says, "My sheep hear my voice. They know my voice." Sometimes in the midst of our issues and matters, we get caught up and we don't quickly enough ask the question, what voice is that I'm listening to? And it happens to all of us. Yes, it happens to pastors, because pastors are no different than you. There is a calling upon our lives that may be different. But the truth remains, we all experience, and my question for you today is, what voice are you listening to the most? It may not be the loudest voice that is the best voice. But the enemy of faith will shout and do everything he can to get your attention and mind off of the Lord and on to the matters of life and against faith. So today, I have just 4 things over the next few minutes. I don't need to dwell long on each of these, but just 4 things that as I sit in my office at my desk and I ponder the passage and I ponder this message, these are the things that come to me, as elementary as they may seem. These are the things that speak into my life, and I choose to speak into your life regarding faith. Number 1, the voice of God will always be a voice of faith. When you're hearing voices, understand this. If it is a voice calling you away from faith into doubt and frustration and discouragement, know this, it is not the voice of God. Determine that quickly. Determine that readily. So you can stand against it and say no. And you can fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith. But sometimes we listen and we look and we ponder and we land there for a while and we dive into the pit of doubt and discouragement and frustration and negative emotion, and we end up sometimes feeling like we're wallowing in the mud of life on the losing end of things. When faith says the voice of God will always be a voice of faith. When you doubt, God will never set doubt your spirit. God will never send anything into your mind or your heart that takes you away from following after faith. He will never do that. And we have to quickly recognize and say, no! And we fix our eyes on Jesus. And I'll just tell you something today. That's never going to change as long as you live here on planet Earth like we do today. It's never going to change. It's never going to be different. The devil will always try, and you will always have to contend with it. Because as long as he's got the freedom to do it, he will try to your last day, your final breath, to snatch you out and get you to take your eyes off of Jesus. We're always going to deal with it. He is the master of confusion. And when you start getting confused, know this: God will never set confusion in your spirit. If you're becoming confused, you need to stand up against the enemy and fix your eyes on Jesus, who is the author and finisher of your faith. Number 2. Well, these seem so simple, but I'll tell you what, they matter to me. I hope they matter to you. The voice of God will always call you toward Him. If there's any voice in your spirit that is coaxing you anywhere else, know this quickly: it is not the voice of God. The voice of God will never urge you in a direction that is away from Him. Will only be a voice that calls you toward Him. It is not His nature to do so. It is not a character of God to have any part of calling people's attention away from Him and on the things of this world. The voice of God will always call you toward Him. If you ever feel any inkling of a voice that's calling you into doubt and fear and frustration and discouragement, know this: it is not the voice of God. And He will use everything that comes into our lives to try to affect us in that way. The voice of God will always call you toward Him. It's hard sometimes. I've had my times. Maybe I haven't experienced what you have. All our experiences are different. I've had some times. And I felt like I was hanging on by a thread. And you're just swinging out there, desperately crying out, Lord, if you don't reach out and take hold of me today, if you don't draw me in, I'm going to fall. I'm going to fail. If you don't strengthen me in this hour, in this moment, I won't make it. I've had any of those times. You have. Haven't you? Some more than others. And some right here, right now, today. The voice of God will always call you toward Him. My sheep know my voice. We can be tricked. We can be fooled. But we need readily to come around and calling us back in. We do not come back in shame because of grace. We come back to the open and welcoming arms of God, who loves us and always wants our best. Number 3 says that. The voice of God will always have your best interest in mind. Sometimes the enemy has a way of dangling stuff in front of us. Take temptation, for instance. What is the definition of temptation? The enticement to do evil by offering some apparent advantage or benefit. The devil will always dangle something in front of us as if to entice and tease us and to confuse us and even making us think that this thing might be pleasurable, it might be good for us, it might be comfortable, it might be just what I need in this moment. And he tries to make it so attractive that we would choose that, only later to come back and regret it, but that we might choose that. And in doing so, be sacrificing something tremendously important. Know this, even though it may not always in the moment seem like the best, most productive path, the voice of God will always have your best interest in mind. It may be the hard road. It may appear in the moment to be the greater challenge. Wouldn't you agree that sometimes when you're in the moment and you're fighting between faith and doubt or faith and fear, sometimes isn't it easier just to go the way of doubt and fear? But the way of faith is the way God is calling us. Finally, and relating back to a previous message, the voice of God will always urge you and me to pick up the shield of faith. We talked, I believe, last week about getting dressed up fully in our Christian lives. Because Ephesians chapter 6 urges us to put on the shield of faith, to put on the armor of God. I have in my office, in fact, I should print it off this week, a prayer that you can walk through, and daily as you get up and face a new day, you just use this prayer that walks you from a prayer perspective, walks you through daily praying on the armor of God. And I should just reprint that and provide a copy to everyone next week. You know, to that effect. I forget when I get out here and get over to my office who I said what to and promised what to and who I agreed to meet with this week, and I don't want to forget. I remember being at many years ago, I had a chiropractor friend who was in Eastern Washington who moved over here and set up practice, and he said to me one day, he said, after adjusting, he said, "Do you mind if I pray for you?" I've gotten to know him very, very well. I said, "No." He said, "Can I just be honest with you? I don't think you have on the armor of God." I said, "What?" "Pardon you want to be a little irritable. What if you want to be a little annoyed? Who are you? He said, I'm just sensing that you are not dressed up with the belt of truth. That you've begun to buy into something that is a lie. Wow. And he prayed for me, and I took that really seriously, and I began to pray and seek the Lord. And God began to show me that there were some things that I was just, I had bought into some lies of the enemy. I had let him discourage me and place doubt in my spirit. And he was right. And I had to pray on the belt of truth to protect my life in a way that I had become vulnerable. Now that may sound strange to you, but doesn't in fact the Bible say, put on the armor of God? Does it not say that? So if the Bible tells us to put on the armor of God, isn't it possible that at some point in time we might be without it? Otherwise the Bible won't need to say it. So I believe what I'm testifying to you about is something that's very real. While it may sound a little bit weird for somebody like that to actually say that to me randomly out of the blue, but this was a man who was a believer. And I trusted very much to be able to listen to the Lord as God may be speaking in his life on my benefit. And it proved productive for me. The voice of God will always urge you in the midst of your circumstances in life to put up the fresh shield of faith. That big shield that covers you from head to foot, side to side, that is huge. And on the front of it says, faith. I am walked by faith in Jesus Christ. Even in this matter, on this day, I live by faith. I don't know about you. I think this is daily. I think this is daily. Wouldn't you agree with me that just about every day of our lives there's something that makes an effort to try to shake us and twist us and turn us away? To turn a direction, to get us to walk on another path. As the praise team is coming back to the platform today, I will give you just a few final thoughts as they're making ready to lead us once again. Some final thoughts. It's possible today that somebody in this room needs to take back stolen property. One of the times when I was robbed, living in Yakima, our young daughter was staying home for the first time all by herself overnight. She was college age, going to a local college a few blocks away. We woke up in the morning to find out that we had been robbed. Scary. Talked to the police, and the police said, don't even try. Before you got up this morning, your belongings were already, most likely, in Arizona. I said, what? You know that? Why don't you do something about it? We couldn't recover anything. There was no way. They weren't really even interested in making a thorough report. It was just a matter of fact. It's the way it is. But I'm going to tell you something regarding the Christian faith. You can recover stolen property. especially when that stolen property is faith. To stand and say no. You have no right to me, to my life, and to my Christian faith. Say no, and put up the shield of faith and say, I'm taking back the property you tried to steal. Through prayer, through fixing your eyes on Jesus. Where is faith missing in your life? What needs to be surrendered back to faith for you? Faith is the lifeline to God's grace and to His power. To declare faith in Jesus afresh today. I don't know what we're going to sing, but as they lead us in a song today, I just want us to, again, ponder. What do I need to do? How do I need to reclaim faith today? Our lives are all different. It's going to be individual for us today. Make it personal for you. The Bible says in Romans 1, the righteous will live by faith.
My heart and my soul, I give you control. Consume me from the inside out, Lord. Let justice and praise become my embrace. To love you from the inside out, everlasting. Your light will shine with all the strength. Never ending. Your glory knows beyond all pain. And the cry of my heart is to bring you praise from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries out, everlasting. Your light will shine with all the strength. Never ending. Your glory goes beyond all pain. And the cry of my heart is to bring you praise from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries out from the inside out. Lord, my soul cries out.
You feel like crying out today? There may be somebody in here, that's right where you're at. You just want to cry out to the Lord. Help me. Help me. That is you putting the shield of faith up. That is you shifting gears, changing direction. That is you saying, I choose today to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I choose faith, not doubt, not fear. Maybe that's where you're at today. But let's just seal these thoughts in prayer. Father God, thank you for these moments together. Thank you, God, for faith. And on one hand, how simple it is. And on the other hand, how very complex it seems when it comes to living by faith and applying faith into every little situation and circumstance of our lives. To, in the midst of our hardships, to take a flying leap of faith in a way that we could never begin to catch ourselves and put our faith in us or in others or in matters of life. But to take a flying leap as if to know that we're out there fully relying upon you to be the only one who could possibly catch us and keep us and hold us. And through prayer today, we just put up the shield of faith and we declare, we will walk by faith. And faith alone in Jesus Christ. God, we thank you. Help us in the coming week, the coming days and weeks and months, that with every situation that comes before us, we will quickly be hearing your voice and following your call. As you take us by the hand, and in this amazing grace, this immeasurable love, you will walk us forward in faith. And through each circumstance, you will teach us deeper and better. That in fact we can trust you in all matters of life. We bless you and praise you today. Continue setting these things in our spirit over the coming days. And God, we also take time out today to just say a prayer over the offering that we're about to receive. We take this serious. We believe this is a key point in this gathering. When we, from our earnings, commit to the mission, to the ministry, and supporting the tremendous way that it costs to carry on the voice, the message of faith in the community around the world. And so today, we also pray your blessing over the offering as the ushers prepare to wait upon us, and that you will take it and use it, stretch it, multiply it as only you can, that it may meet the need to your glory. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Ushers, please come forward and wait upon us at this point, while I quickly call your attention to a couple of things. One is a prayer request that was handed to me this morning for someone by the name of Esther O'Grady, a friend of the Summers, just diagnosed with lymph node cancer and only given weeks. You can imagine how difficult this is for those that are connected in family and friend group here. And we should say a prayer for them before we go. I'll call your attention quickly to the worship folder. There are a number of things in there, most of which we've gone over. We are doing a new church directory, and Jim Summer is out there in the lobby. Excuse me, Jim Summer. Jim Summer. Where does that come from? Jim Strong is out there with a camera. He has agreed. By the way, we're still looking for another person with a camera who may not be a high-quality photographer, but you're comfortable with the camera and you're willing to take pictures. Over the next few weeks, we want to get everybody's picture fresh for this new directory because it's been a while since we've done that. And in case Jim Strong cannot be here on a given Sunday, it's good to have somebody else that can step in and we can continue the process going. That's how we discussed it last week, and I know Jim would welcome someone else who would want to help us. So please let me know if that is okay. So Jim is set up out there, and he will take a picture, he will write down your name, and if you have a unique spelling, make sure he gets that so that we can have it all correct as this is published going forward. If you haven't filled out a form yet, an update form, they're in the tray, and the upper tray has the blank forms, and then just put them in the bottom tray, and they will get updated into our database this week. I'm so glad you were here today. If you have questions about any of this, please let us know. We'll do the best we can to get information to you. Join me quickly as we pray for Esther O'Grady and her connection group. Father God, we ask your hand upon Esther today. We ask that you would make your presence known in her life in a big way today. We ask, God, that you would meet her need according to your will. We as people of faith always long for healing, for restoration, for recovery. And yet our experience in life is that you are God, and you are sovereign, and you always have the last word, and you always know what's best. And today we just commit her to you and ask that you would be large in her life today according to your will. Bless her and those around her with increased faith and hope and blessing this day. In Jesus' name, amen. I hope we get a chance to say hello to you. God bless you. So glad you're here today. I hope you're glad you're here as well.